Okay, can everybody hear me now? And my phone removed. You guys, okay. So, one of the things that'll be nice now compared to earlier is that futures have opened up. So I know some small cap guys, it's not going to really matter as much. But what is nice for doing this level 2 tape reading webinar is we will be able to see some time in sales, some volume, some bid ask here on the level 2. And that'll be just nice to see it so I can kind of show you how it applies. I know this is more of a large cap game here, but we will be focused more on the small caps as for the level 2 and tape readings. So the guys that were here earlier, we are going to kind of do the same thing we did earlier with a larger Q&A. Get a little bit more into the week ahead at the end of the show, but we will go ahead and start here. If you guys aren't, definitely get the link to our Discord and head on over there when you have a chance. There is fantastic traders, great content. This is just the beginning, really. Really, we were just really getting going with this whole thing. So definitely hit that up. And all of this stuff that we're doing here will be available for you as a member at your fingertips. So I just want to keep pointing that out. Let me go ahead. We're going to start with the journal overview. For those of you that aren't in our Discord, one of our small cap gurus, John, has posted a beautiful PowerPoint that I honestly can't speak highly enough of. So that is where I'm going to start here. And I'll try to whip through that a little bit quicker. Guys, John is going to be in the chat here on YouTube for about 20-30 minutes. So anything that you really want to ask directly to him, try to hit him up right away. We are going to have a larger Q&A section than we had on the earlier webinar, but I just want to let you guys know that. So let me go ahead and get started here. That is not wanting to go up, you guys. Just bear with me for a second here. Okay, you guys. So, how to journal trades, track progress with Evernote. Why should you journal your trades? One mistake I made in the beginning of my trading career was not tracking my data journaling trades. It is much easier to make the same mistakes over and over again if you are not learning from them. Journaling will help you by forcing you to stare at your problems and be more aware of them. You will identify what is working for you and what is not working. I prefer Evernote for journaling my trades because I can copy and paste my charts for entries, exits to look over. But I think you should also add TraderView or Edgewonk. I never say that one right, for statistics. And he's absolutely correct right there. I prefer TraderView. I think a lot of people do like Edgewonk. I'm just not that familiar with it, but definitely something to look into. A combination of both will give you the best data in my opinion. Getting started. You will need to download Evernote, and it is free, everybody. It is absolutely free, but there is an upgrade version. I actually have seen it, and it is fantastic. However, to start out with, it's definitely not something I would go and spend a bunch of money on, but I actually don't even know how much it is. If somebody knows, put it in the chat. I actually don't know, but all you have to do is sign up with an email. You also have the option, like I said, to upgrade if you'd like for a small price. Creating your journal. So now you go to notebooks, rename your journal whatever you'd like to, and get ready to create your very first journal entry. I name mine trades 2019. And I just on that note, I do want to make sure that I say this. I didn't earlier. You guys, I think it's really, really important to not just lump everything together. It's good depending on how much you trade and the frequency of your trading. I would say, you know, you could do it by year. I like to do it by month. And in fact, I break it down by week, but that's also because I'm an options trader. So I take a lot of trades that are based on macro and microeconomics and the economy in general and the market movement. So I just like to be able to look back at it so I know exactly where it's moving and how everything's going. Entering your very first trade. To submit a trade, you will need to click on New Note on the top left corner. This will pull up a note to enter the data. So he's talking about right here. I hope you guys can all see that. Tags. On the top left, it shows add tag. Right in here, you guys. You will need to add 3 tags on each trade, either win or loss, long or short, and the date. For example, today was for him 3/4/2019. This will keep your journal organized. You will be able to scroll through all your wins and losses and dates easily. And this is what I was kind of getting to just a minute ago, you guys. I think it's just super, super important to keep this as organized as you possibly can, because this is something that as a new trader especially, this will be your Bible, you guys, you know, not to be sacrilegious there, but it will definitely be something that you'll want to look through, especially, especially like, let's say like you have a real bad red week, you know, this is something you look back and see what was going on, you know, and it should make sense. If it doesn't, then maybe you need to, maybe add a few extra things here, and he gets into that here. Adding a grid table and copying and pasting chart for entry exit. You will need to add a grid table from the toolbox. I like my table to have symbol, entry, exit, float and volume, and notes. Fill out the table to your liking, and that's what I was saying earlier too, is that, you know, you can add a lot of other stuff in there, but I think what he's got here is a great starting point, especially for a small cap guy. I like to add a couple other things in mine where I've got market sentiment, world events, that type of things. But that's more what I'm looking at. Small caps, you guys obviously kind of cut out a lot of that noise, which is really nice. Copy and paste chart. If you don't have execution arrows, you can edit the pick on Evernote and add arrows by right-clicking image and click annotate this image. Then add arrows and save, or draw arrows on pick, edit. Then just copy and paste it into your journal entry. You can add multiple pictures, for example, 1-minute chart and daily chart, so you can see your trades in more detail. Be as detailed as you'd like this in your journal. You guys, just so you know, all of this, again, is available on our Discord, so I'm just going to kind of go through it here kind of quick, but just so you know, go on our Discord, and this will be literally right there for all of our members, right at your fingertips. So right here, you see how he's doing it. He's got symbol, entry, exit, float, notes. And I like to point this out what he did here. Took a short on support break 5-minute signal and covered at support 15-minute. Accidentally covered too much and went long on exit. No big deal, sold right away. Decent gain, plan worked perfectly, and good price targets. That's as simple and as detailed as it really needs to be. I feel like you could go back in 2 years, 3 years, and you would know exactly what you'll remember. That it'll instantly boom. There it is. You remember this target. You remember the exact thing. That day. You remember everything. You just entered a trade. After you exit and go to main menu, you will see your trade, and it will be in an organized format. Last thing to do: green day or red day. Right-click on the date in tags and click on Style, and then simply press the green or red to color code your dates so you know your red and green days. Look at next slide to see what your menu should look like. You can see that up here. Be consistent with your journal, and I absolutely cannot stress that more than he is here. Absolutely be consistent, you guys. That is a part of our job as a trader. Consistency, consistency, consistency. As you can see, this is my first entry in this journal. So far, I only have 3 tags because my only trade was a win. It was a short, and I also tagged the date. Once you keep doing this, you will notice how organized everything is. From visualizing your green streak, color of dates on tags, or red days, and how many wins or losses you have, all in order. You will have a total of 4 tags with multiple entries, win, loss, short, or long. So you can review all of your long trades easily or short trades easily. Again, just you guys be consistent, stay detailed here. Stay consistent with your journal. It is great to be able to look at all your trades in one organized place. Enjoy. John, I want to thank you, man. You did absolutely wonderful on this. You guys, again, this is in our Discord. Hit us up. You can download this for you, and then you can sit there step by step and go ahead and fill your own stuff back in. This is something I think that is very important for new traders and advanced traders. I don't care who you are. If you just start getting lazy and slacking, you know what, you're just not going to remember. And honestly, I think I've learned more from my past mistakes than I ever have from my green days. My green days, I get excited, I run out and, you know, do whatever I do, celebrate, you know. But on those red days, you get a little hard on yourself. But if you can look back at the week, the day, the hour, and really visualize what happened, that's how you make the next time you know where to cut that loss. You know what not to jump into on your entries and exits. That kind of thing. Okay, guys, so now we got that out of the way. We are going to talk about level 2 and tape reading. Again, I'm going to go through kind of a general educational course type thing here. Very basics, you guys. Just realize that we're just trying to get new people used to the idea. What are things? What are these terms that you're hearing? Why are they there? That kind of thing. We will get more into advanced level 2 readings and tape readings more in our educational courses through our website and through our Discord. But so just bear with me. All of this might be something you already know or haven't, but there's a lot of people that probably have not heard this or do not know. So let me go ahead and pull up the first example here so we can kind of look at what I'm talking about. Okay, you guys, this is just kind of an overview. Obviously, every platform is going to have a different look, a different style. I know, like on Lightspeed, you can actually customize it, and it's pretty sweet what you can do with it. But just so you know, I'm going to go through a couple examples just so we all kind of are on the same page, because they are all the same thing. It's just a different, just a different presentation that they give here. So if you see at the top there, the security information, obviously the stock that you're looking at. On the right-hand side at the top, that's the depth chart. Down below the security information on the left side will be the bid-ask window. Then everything below that on the left-hand side will always be the bid orders. Everything on the right-hand side is always going to be the ask orders. Now, a lot of people get confused at first and they ask about the colors. Honestly, all the color coding is just so it's a little bit easier on a trader's eyes. As we all know, we stare at computers for hours on end, day after day, week after week, month after month, hopefully year after year. And so it's just easier to color code them by price. And that just makes it a lot easier quickly on the fly to kind of just, you know, get where you got to go there. So the level 2 window structure, like I was explaining, is comprised of 4 key components: the security information, bid-ask window, depth chart, and the bid-ask orders. So the security information, the first element there on the level 2 window, the tape reading window, is the general market information for the security, the stock that we're looking at. This information will include the symbol name, direction of the bid tick, last price, and net change. As the bid for the security changes, the arrow will shift up or down or back and forth from red to green. The last price is the last recorded price for the security. Finally, the net change represents the total dollar amount change for the security from the previous day's close. And I believe I have this in detail right here. So you guys see that the symbol, obviously we're playing Apple, looking at that. The bid tick, arrow down, the last price, and net change from the previous day. So the bid-ask window it contains the current bid-ask prices for the security. This data has 4 columns if you look right there. So the first one is the price. The second one there is the depth. The third one is the size. And the fourth one is the spread, the difference between the bid and the ask. The price in the bid-ask window displays the current bid by the asking price. The depth represents the number of orders at the given price. So if you have, in this example, 3 to 1, then there are 3 buy offers for every 1 sell. The size shows you the actual size for the bid and ask orders. So if you have 1,000 to 100, that means there are traders attempting to buy 1,000 shares at that given price, while there is only 100 shares at that sale price. The spread represents the difference between the bid and the ask. The tighter the spread, the better. Day traders should look to trade stocks with high volume and close spreads. Now, this is a generalization and a basic because we all know that we all look for different trades and different volumes and different spreads. But this, just for this webinar and this sake of example, that's something that you want to be looking at. Next, we'll get into the depth chart here. So the depth chart is the visual representation of the orders and their respective size. The color of the graph in the depth chart here will match the color of the bid-ask data. And so if you are day trading attempting to go long, you will want to see the size and speed of the bars on the left side of the depth chart to be larger than the bars on the right. This essentially can you guys hear me? Did I cut out there? I've got here, hold on one second, guys. I've got wireless mics here, so they keep cutting out. I'm sorry. Can someone in the chat tell me there, what was the last thing did you guys hear about the depth chart or no? "30 seconds is all?" Okay, great. Thank you guys for being on that, man. Jeez. You guys put that into your trading. We're all green, baby. Let me just, yeah, exactly. The left bar should be bigger than right. Let me go back over the depth chart a little bit here. So the depth chart is the visual representation of the orders and their respective size. The color in the graph in the depth chart will match the color of the bid-ask data. If you are day trading attempting to go long, you will want to see the size and speed of the bars on the left side of the depth chart to be larger than the bars on the right. This essentially implies that there are more buyers in the market. So the last thing on this right here we will talk about, the bid-ask orders displayed. They display all of the pending buy and sell orders in the market. There's always going to be, no matter what platform you're usually on. I honestly hate to say this. I mean, I don't, because I love Tastyworks and E-Trade, but E-Trade is probably the best at this. They're just the easiest to read, but there are 4 components of the window. So the first one you'll see there up on the upper left is the ID. The second one next to that then is order type, then size, and then time. The ID represents the ECN that the order is routed through. The order type will be either the bid or ask, depending on which window you are watching. The size is the size of the order. The time represents the time that that order was placed. And then the bid ask window is the consolidated version of all the bid ask orders. So traders will generally look at all the bid ask orders in the level 2 window to gauge the momentum and see how many orders are at a particular level. Is that making sense to everyone? It's pretty simple, but you'd be surprised. You know, it gets overwhelming when you're in the moment, in the trade. You know. Bart, that's not fair. You were here earlier. Okay, you guys, I'm just going to go over a couple more things about level 2 here and tape reading that just makes a little sense, and then we'll look at a couple examples so that way you guys can kind of see in real time as things are moving what exactly we're talking about. Why would you enter that trade based on, we're going to only base it on essentially trend and level 2 tape reading. So, level 2 is essentially the order book for all of the stocks. When orders are placed, they're placed through many different market makers and other participants. Tape reading level 2 will show you a ranked list of the best bid and ask prices from each of these, basically giving you detailed insight into the price action of that underlying stock. Knowing exactly who has the interest in that stock can be, very, very useful, especially when you're day trading, scalping, momentum trading. You know, it's super, super incredibly important, I believe. And I know there's many others that have been in the game for a long time, as well as me, that definitely believe the same thing. So some of the terms you guys are going to hear, I just want you to be able to know exactly what they're talking about. Some of the players are, when you hear like or the market makers, these are essentially the big dogs, the players who provide liquidity in the marketplace. These are the ones that are required to buy and sell when no one else in the market is doing anything. They have to. They're the ones who keep the market working. They are literally the market makers. So when you hear me talking about the ECN, that stands for the Electronic Communication Networks. These are the computerized order placement systems. It is good to note here that anyone can be on these. Anyone can trade these. That's mostly where they're going through. One of the things that I don't hear brought up enough about that I talked about earlier is this. It's the deception that lies inside of these level 2s. So from what I know. Back in like the 80s, these were something you could hang your hat on. You could rely on these. These were the truth. But then slowly over time with algos and just computer programs getting better and better and technology rising, there's been a lot of tricks and deception in the marketplace on level 2 because they know, these market makers know that day traders are relying on these to make their trades. This was essentially the holy grail, the secret trick, the secret sauce, if you will. But you guys, not really anymore. It really has gotten more common for, market makers to play tricks on people. So what happens is the market makers can hide their order size by placing small orders and then updating them whenever they get a fill. They do this in a sense to unload or pick up a large order without tipping off all the other traders and scaring them away. If you see some giant, 700,000 share resistance, why are you going to buy? But if you only see a 10,000 share resistance, most people, including myself, you're probably going to think that's something that you can just, you're going to be able to hop right over that hurdle. But market makers also will try to deceive other traders using their order sizes and timing. So they will place a huge, large order, or an offer, I should say. Sorry. They'll place a huge offer to get the short sellers on board. Only right then, they will just pull the order and place a large bid. This essentially forces the shorts to cover and react to that large bid. And in real time, that is a lot harder than it sounds. Market makers also can hide their actions by trading through those ECNs I brought up earlier. So remember, those ECNs can be used by anyone. So it is difficult to tell whether a large ECN order was a retail trader or an institution. So that is one thing that I definitely want to point out to watch and be careful. So the bottom line here is on level 2 and tape reading, it can definitely give you a unique and a bit of a curve, a bit of an edge, and an insight into the underlying stock's price action. But there's also a lot of things that market makers can do to trick you and deceive you of their true intentions. So the average trader, the new trader, I really want to point out you really can't rely on level 2 and tape reading alone. If that's your only strategy, you are not going to have a good day. You might have a good day. You're not going to have 10 good days. Let's put it that way. So you really should use it in conjunction with other forms of analysis, other indicators, other trends, your gut feeling even. So that way you're using those when determining whether to buy or to get short on a stock. And that is definitely something I really can't push hard enough, you guys, is that yes, it is great to see where it's going and what's happening. So one thing I will get into here on that note is that what I really like to see is, so let's go ahead and pull up. So this is this is actually right now. This is the futures trading right now. Just opened up a little bit ago. So one thing I like, and I'll show a couple examples that have a little bit more data than what this has right now. We'll go back here in a few. But one thing to use when you're on this bid and spread, the spread right here on this bid and ask, one of the things is a lot of guys used to just rely on these to see where the key resistant levels were. But one of the things is this time in sales, I cannot stress enough. So you got to want to use your other indicators and all that stuff too. But at the same time, this time in sales needs to be used in conjunction with this bid and ask, as well as watching the volume right here of these orders being placed and these offers that are just sitting there. And you can see now, see how these volume bars on here on Thinkorswim, these are showing the levels that they're at. So you'll slowly, right now things, obviously it's futures trading and just opened up on a Sunday night. These are going to go pretty slow, but these will start to move and you start seeing these pick up fast, and this starts flashing green. That might be a good time for an entry to hop on in. Now, however, you start seeing these picking up below the strike price and these start flashing red. I mean, that's going to be, we're going to start going for a short. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull up a couple examples here and a couple stocks on the on-demand where we can go back and look at them. And I know that for the small cap world this week, a couple of the really big ones we'll look at that we also looked at earlier was BPTH, I believe SEEL, SBOT, a couple of those. So let me go ahead and pull up BPTH for you, and we'll go back. We'll probably go back to Wednesday as that stock started to run. Who in the chat, you guys? How many of you traded BPTH? I want to hear if anybody actually hopped on that and what happened. I'm really curious to hear about that. That was the rip. That was the rip of 2019 so far, you guys. I haven't seen that in a while. So this is one cool feature I explained to the guys earlier too, and I'll tell you again. So if you have Thinkorswim, one of the coolest features is this on-demand feature right here. You have to be in your live account. You can't use it if you're paper trading, by the way. But this on-demand feature, you can backtest strategies. You can backtest stocks. For me, for learning or going through, like we were talking about earlier with the journal entering, this is almost something I do. What I do a lot of times is I'll go back to where I was at in that trade at that exact minute, second, and I will literally look at what was happening and what I was entering into my journal. And it seriously really, really, really puts it into perspective of what I was doing correct and what I was doing wrong. So let me go ahead. This will take a second to buffer up, you guys. I'm going to go silent for a second so I can bring this up. But just bear with me for a second, you guys. So while I'm letting this buffer up so it'll actually start moving a little bit quicker, you guys, pay attention here. So we all know what happened here, or at least most of us. There was the catalyst that came out the news on their trial testing, and it just skyrocketed as soon as the majority of pre-market opened for most platforms right here at 6 a.m. Well, 6 a.m. my time, sorry. But you guys, this is the time in sales, and here's the bid-ask spread, and we'll start talking about this. We'll talk a little bit about stacking and how that works and what to watch for, and we'll even take an entry, and we'll show you where we would take an exit on this. We all know, obviously, enter here and stay for 2 days and cash out at the $70, but that's not realistic. So we'll get a little bit more up into that. So let me go ahead and let this buffer up so it'll actually run a little bit smooth. So guys, just give me just 1 minute, okay? Okay, you guys, I think it's good enough there. So I'm looking at the 5 minute here. We'll take a couple other examples in the 1 minute because I'm sure that's how a lot of you guys, especially scalpers, Momo traders, are trading. Obviously, me as a options trader, I mean, of course, I watch that and sometimes go in there. I mostly watch a 15-minute and daily to look for overall trends, longer running trends. But for the sake of what we're doing here, especially with this tape reading, we're going to want to look at 5 minutes, 1 minute, 2 minutes, shorter durations. Otherwise, I'll explain here in a minute, I do want to go back and look at dailies and see where some of the key resistant levels are, where some of the key support levels are. So let's just pretend you guys hopped on our stream, let's hope, first thing in the morning. You guys are looking at the gappers, and first thing we saw this thing just ripping up here first thing in the morning, right? So I'm going to go ahead and basically what I would be doing is I'd look at this trend and I'm like, okay, so this is ripping up. It has a catalyst. One of the big things I think that a lot of guys get a little bit too used to is just feeling like you know what you're doing. So whenever I go to get in a trade, especially when I was more on small caps, I have like a systematic rule set, and I actually drew it up here, and I'll read out to you guys what I look for in a trade. What is a good trade? So to me is this a playbook setup? Is it an A plus, a B, an F, a double Z? I basically, honestly, at this point, especially because I'm relying on this income as this is what I do. I don't have anything else. So I'm only going to be taking A plus, A, maybe A minus trades. On the occasional B plus, I might dive in. And I know for everybody that's going to have different meaning and different symptoms, so I'm not going to get too much into what mine are, but that's just something to eventually you'll figure out for yourself. Is there a catalyst? I think in the small cap world, if you're moving on a stock that is just ripping up, but yet there is no catalyst, essentially to me, why is it doing that? I get really, really skeptical of a stock just ripping up with no catalyst. So the next one would be looking at the order flow and the tape supporting my thesis. So I come in, I see this gapper. Next thing I do is I look at the news. I see what it is. It's a real catalyst. It's ripping up. Right when we open up, this thing is just on a trend. This thing looks like it is going strong already, okay? So the next thing I would do is, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to look at the time and sales here. What do I see that's going through? How big are these orders here? What prices? So now I'm going to look down here. Are these stacking up? Where's the resistance? So what they talk about when they're talking about stacking, let's say on this bid side right here, 802, 802. So there's a little mini stack, as I would call it. But as it starts to stack up larger and larger and larger, that to me is that's a great place to look for essentially, see right now you can see how it keeps changing and the spread is tight. That's one of the big things that I think a lot of guys forget is you want to keep this spread tight as you can, because you look down here. So these levels, this 880, this 851, 843, these sizes are pretty small. They could be hidden, like I explained earlier. They could be just fluff, deception. But for the most part, in something like this, I really think that it's probably an honest trader. And not that they're honest in their life, but that it's an actual offer sitting there. So what I do is I utilize this as, what are my resistance levels? What are my support levels? Where could this thing go? If it drops, how far is it going to drop? How far up could it go right now? And a lot of guys, as this was ripping up, yes, I looked back into I'll show you what I was looking at on this. So the daily, if you look back at this thing, it had, look at this. 6180. This thing was up there. It was it consolidated here in the 30s for quite a while. And then this just big drop, and it just kept kind of on a downtrend here. Well, as biotechs often do, if they don't have a catalyst or news coming out, this is exactly what they do. People just kind of forget about them. There's not a lot of volume there. So what ends up happening, all of a sudden, boom, they come out with this catalyst here, and this thing wants to just rip. So as I just showed you, it has the potential to go up there to 60. So when a lot of people were saying, oh, I can't believe it went to 70, oh my gosh, it just keeps going. To be honest, you guys, the entire time I was thinking, no, this thing can run. This thing has room to go. Yes, there was a lot of resistance in there, but as you'll watch down here on these bid and ask spreads, and then reading this tape, especially with the time and sales, see right now, all these people are trying to get short. They thought it already ripped. They thought this was it. All these people thought this was done. They thought it already gone up enough. It's time to get short. Well, what happens here is all of a sudden, and I'm going to jump forward here in a minute, about an hour, this thing just starts ripping. And I don't remember how many people were in it, but hopefully you were on it long until for 48 hours. So let's go ahead and jump forward here. So you see what happened here. All these people trying to get short, they just got killed. This thing just started to rip. The momentum on this thing was unbelievable. We're already up to $12 at this point. So, if you weren't in it by this point and you were waiting for the trend, this would definitely be something I'd start watching this time in sales, looking at the tape, really reading, where are these levels at? Are they stacking up? What are these numbers here? What are these guys trying to do? Who's trying to wait for some break or something to fall through? Now, we all know what happened, so that's a little bit tricky when backtesting this, but you get where I'm going, because we're going to jump forward here now. I believe it was this afternoon on Thursday. Actually, let's go a little bit later in the day. Whoa. Give it a second to buffer, guys. Sorry. Yeah, so so we see this overall trend. Let me back out a little bit to a better time frame here. So then we're coming up on this next day, right? Right out of the gate, this thing has got massive volume pushing up, and this thing just took off. Now, I know a lot of people that had already gotten out the previous day, they weren't able to hop back in this thing when it's already up to what, 20, or was it not even 20 yet? Yeah, 1832. That's pretty crazy, right? But there was a lot of people, especially mid-cap player, people that believed and that had now looked back and seen that it could rip up to the 60s plus. They knew. So this volume just massively swole here, and it just took off all the way up. And then, as we all know, this thing just came crashing back down. So again, I'm going to back up a little bit. Let me see where we can watch where this thing changes. So I want you to see the tape to know where this is where the exit truly would have been. So what time is that? Is that about 9:15? Okay. So let's go ahead and go into the 1 minute here. Look at this trend. This is just ridiculous. But let's watch this order flow here for a minute, and just kind of see what we've been talking about these numbers and about what you're going to see and how they correlate between these spreads and then what happens here. So I'm just going to let this run for a couple minutes, you guys. Go ahead and start yeah, Vantage. That's what that's kind of what I'm talking about now is to show what the tape did with the price movement, especially when this starts to short here. And there's another really good example I'll show after this one with SBOT. So you can see right now, look at this spread. The bid is 39.24, the ask is 50.70. I mean, you start seeing this running red. I would have been hopping out left and right here. This is absolutely ludicrous. And in real time, this is, it's a little bit harder to see, but you can see now, obviously, hindsight's 2020. But you can definitely see here that this thing, people kept trying to short this. They were shorting this for 3 days, 2 days here at this point, but 3 days. They kept thinking, oh, it's got to go. It's got to break. It's got to break. It's got to break. But people just kept buying and buying and buying and buying. And honestly, by this point, some of the algos and market makers, they are probably just having a heyday with this. And again, that's what they're doing. They're trying to catch you going short here, and then boom, and then they're pulling their bids. They're pulling their bids. They're pulling their offer. Pull the offer. Pull the bid. That's what they're doing. I mean, now we're getting now the spread's coming down. You see that? Now the bid all of a sudden jumped 60, but you see how this is stacked up right here? That to me is a sign this is time to exit. This is absolutely time to exit. And then boom, look at this. And this is where this thing is going to start dropping. I'm going to skip forward just a couple minutes, you guys, just so we can watch how this went. I think it was more like 9:30. I'm sorry, guys. Hold on. I went over this so many times you think I'd have this thing memorized by now, but there we go. So let's back that up. Yeah, that is just crazy what happened there. Look at that, 1 minute. That's a 1 minute candle, you guys. That is absolutely insane. Yeah, on demand is being laggy right now. It might be because I'm wondering if it's because of everything that's with streaming and stuff. It is being a little bit laggy. It's not normally this bad when I back test, but bear with me, guys. Here, I really want to show this to you guys, and then we'll move on to the next one. I promise. All right, so that's about where I want to be. So what I've been talking about is we're going to kind of watch this time and sale in between these spreads, what kind of happens here. And it'll be really obvious now where the exit is, but that's one of the hardest things to find, I believe, is to see where to get out, absolutely. So let's just play this for just a minute, you guys, and then I'll show you, as it pops up here in just a minute, I'll show you where to pop out. I'm just going to keep jumping forward a couple minutes just so I can find the exact moment where that time and sale starts to slip. Okay, so it's right there. So let's go back one. So this is what we're talking about when you start seeing it. So you see this bid right here where it's 75. You got 31, so that's 3,100. Look at this ask. It's already dropping down. So you see how quick, there it goes. So you'll start watching this, and you'll start seeing all this selling pressure come here in just a second. don't know why the time in sales isn't loading. That's driving me crazy. I mean, look at that. Just in a matter of seconds, how much that candle just dropped. That is absolutely incredible. But anyway, yeah. So the reason I was showing this to you guys is just kind of show you that, you know, yeah, you can use all of this stuff. You know, it is absolutely impeccable. You have to use this. It is critical to use these tools. However, you don't just use these and say, oh, that's good, I've got it. But you do need to use your indicators and your, you know, whatever else you use, EMAs, MAs, VWAPs, all that stuff in conjunction, and then it'll work again. So let me go ahead and pull up this other stock that we were looking at earlier, and then we will go on to the next thing here, you guys. We'll try to get through this real quick. I think this was actually Friday. I was trying to show you guys, I wanted to show you some of the stuff you'll see when you'll see a hidden seller in there. It'll become pretty obvious. So this one's got a pretty good time and sale flow here. We were looking at this one earlier. Yeah, on demand is being a little bit tricky. It was working pretty smooth earlier. I mean, it's still doing okay. I mean, I think it's got the basic principle of what we've been trying to show you guys and where it was moving. So that's all good. We'll just watch this for a second just so I can kind of see if there's anything we can point out. Yeah, so you guys basically, to wrap this up, the basics and the overview of level 2 tape reading, essentially it is something that you definitely need to learn and pay attention to, and it is a great part of your strategy, but that's the key phrase there. It's a part of your strategy. Do not solely rely on this, or you will find yourself, yes, occasionally you're going to make a great big move, but you really, really need to be using other indicators and other analysis tools to get ahead in the game, to get that edge. This is a great place to start. We offer a lot of, you come in a part of our Discord community, we're going to offer a lot of help and point you in the right direction with this, but we're going to continuously tell you the same thing, that, you know, this is a great tool and it's a great way to know where it's moving. But you definitely don't want to just say, oh yeah, well, because the tape said this, the tape said that. I think a lot of guys get lazy or think they cracked the code and that's it. Because trust me, they now know, like I said earlier, they figure this out, that people, this is what they were relying on. This is how they're doing it. So what have they done? Well, of course, like everybody, they're going to figure a way to fluff and to deceive you in here. And as soon as you go in, you're like, oh, there's 2,800 of these bids waiting. It's stacking up. I'm going to go long. All they have to do is they instantly take that away. Boom. They go short. You are left high and dry. That is essentially, literally as simple and the most basic way I can put it. But that is literally what happens every single day in the stock market. And there's not a day that it doesn't happen. There are stocks it doesn't happen on, but there's definitely not a day that goes by with that. Okay, so I'm going to move on to a little bit. We're going to have essentially a Sunday kind of, evening around this time, week review / week looking ahead type show, starting basically today, every week. And we'll go over different things, but a lot of it is going to be just kind of looking at what happened the past week and what can you do to learn from that, and what's happening in the overall market, what's happening in every single essentially part of the market. in the next week coming up so that we all can kind of get on the same page and get a game plan. That's essentially the idea of the whole PDT collective. That is kind of what we're looking at doing here. So let me go ahead, as futures are trading, let's go ahead and pull them up. I want to see where they're at. I'm actually really curious since I've been in here for a while. Usually this is all I do on Sunday night, so better get off my on-demand, huh? Wow. Yeah, you guys can see here in real time now. You see the order flow here in the time and sales, and you see these volume bars, how they're going to start moving as we're going to go through some of this stuff. So one of the big things I like to push to everybody, and a lot of people, the several of you that are in here that know me, and I've been helping with coaching and mentoring. One of the big things I talk a lot about are obviously the macroeconomics of the entire market and sentiment and that kind of thing. But one of the big plays I see for anybody that's in large caps or options, one of the things I definitely see happening is going to be tomorrow is going to be a really heavy watch on Boeing. I'm not sure how many of you know what happened over the weekend. There was a horrific plane crash in Ethiopia just after they took off, and the unfortunate part is obviously that many people lost their lives. The other unfortunate part for Boeing as a company is this is the second time one of their new models, I think the last one was in October, has had the same type of accident. So as someone like myself who trades the economy, Boeing was on a rip. As I'll show you here, Boeing's been ripping for, I mean, it's just been on this uptrend for, I think pretty much with the market since Christmas Eve evening when everything crashed essentially, and then it just ripped back up. Yeah, right in here. So then it just kept ripping all the way up here. So what's going to happen is, obviously, I'm not going to sit here and say throw every penny you have and everything you have into BA puts, but we all know what happened with the market this last week. So this was this little reversal here after Christmas Eve, and everything's been ripping and ripping and ripping. Well, right here at this high of 446.49, which I can't believe is where we ended up, which is absolutely amazing. And this stock alone literally has pretty much made my last 3 months of payroll. So after that, whenever we see BA start to take a dive, essentially you're going to see the market take a dive. The reason being is Boeing is very, very critical to the Dow being very, very critical to the overall market. So essentially I put a lot of weight into Boeing as a stock, because not only do I believe they're a very strong company, but because of their percentage in the Dow, they really, really do regulate where the market is moving. So you see this new trend that this thing just crashed down. Then it consolidated all the way out to here. It came down again, consolidated way down. Then it started to try to push back up. This crazy candle here, this wick here, this is unbelievable. But this is almost a really bad sign to me before this weekend crash, because this wick all the way up here, all I see is absolute. They're trying to buy, they're trying to go long, selling pressure, just pushing this thing back down, just shoving it back in the box. And I'm surprised this is all that it went down. They must have got lucky, honestly, at the very end there. So then it just kind of took off. So again, the only reason I'm bringing this up is just overall market sentiment, and what we're going to probably see tomorrow and the rest of the week going on is there's been a lot of big changes in the big caps. So I know a lot of us here, small caps, we really don't, it doesn't really matter to us necessarily. However, people start pulling money out of the market like we've been seeing this year, it will matter, because they're going to stop throwing their money into these essential, into anything not essential. That's why we've started to see, even the bonds have gone down. I'm surprised a lot of those things like gold, silver, commodities, even crypto, I'm surprised hasn't gone up more than it has, just with all the money that's been pulling out of the market. Now, I do expect, obviously, small caps, we all know, tomorrow, we know we're going to wake up and see some gappers. And that's the other thing I wanted to tell you guys about. We talked about this early. We are going to start a pre-market watch. I'll be on first thing in the morning. I believe we'll be on at we'll try to be on as early as we can. It just depends on the stream and such, but we'll be on as early as we can. So everybody be up for that. So what we'll do is first thing in the morning is we'll get up with the gappers and the scanners and the overall market sentiment, and we'll kind of go through some of that. We'll look at the scanners. I believe John will have his watch list out. So if you're not in our Discord again, definitely try to do that tonight. Hop over in our Discord. If somebody could throw the link up one more time. John will have probably a watch list. Well, he always does first thing in the morning. So you'll definitely want to take a look at that. I'll go over some of those first thing in the morning with all of you, pre-market and then into market open. So we'll go through the gap scanner together. We'll talk about some of the catalysts that are pushing those stocks forward, where they're at, where we're sitting, where we're looking at, just kind of an overall, what's happening, what are we looking for in that day. And obviously, as we know with small caps, we got to take it day by day, hour by hour. So that's where we're going to sit for there. I'm going to try to look through the chat here a little bit and see what some of you guys are looking at and talking about. It seems like a lot of the questions have been answered. Yeah, SEL, we actually looked at that one earlier. That thing, man, I mean, so you say, what do you say? Let me go over. I feel dumb for selling at 517, buying at 695, and then selling it's now at 3. Predator, what do you can you commentate in the stream tomorrow? I'm tired of just talking about scalping 5 to 10 cents. Well, you're in luck. Many other people might not be. I do scalp here and there. I definitely started out with a lot of scalping because I was scared to stay in for longer than literally 5 minutes. I do scalp options on occasion. I definitely am more of a long-term holder, not as in like weeks, months, years. Usually a couple days, 3-4 days, but that's with options and large caps. On small caps, I definitely though try to find the trend and stay in, and I use those key resistance lines, especially what we're talking about with this level 2 stuff. And time and sales, when these level 2s are going in, I use those essentially as a replacement almost for my Fibonacci lines, because like in a large cap, they're going to really respect the Fibonacci. I feel like small caps obviously don't necessarily. So I use these lines and these bid and ask and the spread. I use those as key support and resistance levels. So yeah, absolutely. I'll do that, Predator. I will definitely, go through that a little bit more on stream and kind of get you guys, set as the ways I look at it. And yeah, of course, we'll talk a little bit about scalping, a little Momo trending. I'll talk a little bit more about options. We'll kind of try to talk about everything from this point forward, to be honest, you guys. We're definitely going to try to be more inclusive. I don't believe in just having one strategy. Now, I know that works for a lot of people, and I'm not going to knock you down, but trust me, as someone who's been doing this for quite a while, there is nothing better than being able to trade any market, every single type of stock, every price range, sub penny, penny, small cap, mid cap, large cap. I mean, my belief is truly that every day, if I can't find a trade, I'm either A, looking for the wrong things in the wrong places, or B, I'm just being lazy. And honestly, I think it's mostly that. Now, when you're a new trader and starting out, or if you've been having, let's say, 2 months of red days nonstop, then I would say you need to slow down and not be looking for a trade. Don't ever force a trade. However, there are thousands of stocks every day. There's always a trade somewhere. You've just got to be on your game. And that's why I think it's important to be able to trade everything, not just one thing, not one technique, not one strategy, not using one indicator, not just tape reading, not just using VWAP, not just using fibs. I mean, there's so many things out there and so many indicators. I showed the guys earlier. This is Thinkorswim, so they have a crazy amount. But I mean, just look at all these studies here, you guys. This is insane. I mean, these are all different types of indicators. And these things, I mean, look at all these. This is insane. And I probably use maybe, 10 of them. And at that point, really, I use 3 of them a day, maybe, if even that. But the point is that there is always another way. There's always a different way of looking at something. There's always another way of, indicators are more confusing. I agree. But once you find the indicators that work best for you, and not just like, oh, I used this today and I got green because this happened, you could have got lucky. This is something that you've got to try and use and learn from, and over for days and days. I mean, this is not going to, in one day, you're not going to figure out the code to break the stock market. I mean, it doesn't exist anymore. Honestly, there are people who, before, I've seen it, I literally have seen it, that figured something out, a system, if you will, counting cards almost, and they did figure it out. But this day and age, it just doesn't happen anymore. I'm going to go back and look at this SBOT that somebody, oh, no, it was SEEL, right? Yeah. Let's look at that. When was that trade you took on SEEL? Was it Friday? Juan Lopez. Like we were talking about BPTH, I didn't follow any indicator other than up, right? Yeah, Friday. Okay, thanks. That's what I thought. Sorry, let me go back there. I want to look at that too. Now, I know this was one that John did call out. I actually didn't look at this until later on in the day. No reason. I was obviously I was we were having such a huge downtrend in large caps, and I was mostly stuck in BA all day Friday. So, what was the catalyst on this? Was there a catalyst on this one? 9:30, 9:45. Thank you, Dennis. Is it Dennis? Yeah. Is that 9? Yeah, I wasn't sure what news it had either. I couldn't remember. I just saw it on the gappers, and then when you guys, yeah, up and then straight down, huh? Yeah, I mean, I see it. I mean, after hours, this thing was just ripping on Thursday. That's incredible. It did just start ripping here. I mean, all the way to $8. That's incredible. Then it started to trend back down in pre-market, and then you see right here, as this opened up, this volume was just massive there. And that would have, I mean, I can understand. I would have been hopping in that too, maybe. I mean, look at that, all the way up to 745. That's why not, especially when you're new, I wouldn't always recommend jumping into a trade right at open. Give it just a little bit. I know some guys that wait till almost 10 a.m. to even get in a trade so they can find the trend. I wouldn't say wait that long because you might miss the ride, the bus will pass. But essentially, I mean, you see all this volume coming up here, and this time in sales, I guarantee, was just, green until they came in, and it probably, that was a market maker that probably pulled it there, and then they're pushing down. See that wick? That is selling pressure. That is bad news to a guy like me. To me, that shows that, like, you need to get out of this thing before you lose it, and that's exactly what happened, and that's what they did. They got all these guys in, and then they just pulled the rug out from under them. I mean, that's the small cap world, unfortunately, But think of the guys that were ready for this and saw this all the way up here, watched it come up, and then just shorted this. I mean, that's massive. That is a huge, huge break. Here's a better question than what I asked a minute ago. What are some stocks you guys are looking at for tomorrow and for this week? Why don't we take a couple looks at that? Is there anything anybody's looking at specifically? Did anybody swing anything? We got any ballsy traders in here? Anybody take a swing through the weekend? Yeah, John, they definitely go down faster than they go up. That's why I like shorting. That's why I buy puts, because, man, those things just fly up, and then you're not having to fight theta, and that's, yeah. Oh, you're still in SBOT, huh? Yeah, let me hop out of demand here and let's look at that. Oh, man. Yeah, you're not kidding. Yeah, that is just a pump and dump. That is absolutely wretched. Wow. Yeah, ALQA. That I have played that several times myself, actually, and I definitely think that's one of those ones that we know can run, and once it gets through those lines of resistance, it's gonna break. Yeah, I will take a look at RKDA. Let's look at that, and then we'll go back to a couple those that ALQA and GLBS. Man, this S spot, I don't know what to. I mean, just from first glance, that is really hard to say. You know, where's the stock been before? Let me look at this real quick. I don't know enough about this one. I think we've seen this one before though, haven't we, guys? Yeah. Yeah, look at that. Jeez. So I see why you hopped it in. You know, you definitely had, you know, and again, those were some of the things I was talking about is, you know, why are you in the trade? You know, is this a playbook setup? Is this an A plus trade? A, B, B minus? Is there a strong catalyst? What's the order flow, the tape supporting? You know, what's the risk you're taking on this? Where's your stop placed? What's your size you're taking? Your risk to reward. I know when you're first starting out, especially on a small account, it's really hard. You can't be putting up only 2%, 5%. That's literally $20, $50, $100, $1,000 maybe. What type of share size does that really get you? I understand, but you've really got to be looking at these risk rewards, you guys. Are these the right market conditions for this trade? You know, with small caps, that's tricky. I would put that more back to the catalyst. Is it the right time of day for this kind of trade? I would have definitely said on this S-bot trade, for sure, out of the opening gate, when you see all that volume flying up there, I mean, that was absolutely the right time to take it, you know? You know, the only thing I could see here is, you know, one of the questions I like to ask is, am I seeing the trade or am I anticipating? And I feel like this one, maybe that's what happened. You were anticipating more of it just to get ripped. You were hoping, you know, after what we saw this week, especially with some of these other stocks, especially BPTH, you know, we were probably all hoping for it, you know, another just big runner like that. It's really rare to see that, you guys, and I don't expect to see it, you know, anytime soon. However, tomorrow we could see another 1,000% runner. I doubt it, but I would never say no. I mean, it absolutely could happen. That one's really hard to say. And you know what? I don't know if you're in our Discord, but if you want to bring up this S-bot back in our Discord, I'd really like to have some of the other guys talk to you more about it, and maybe we can, you know, look at it, because I honestly feel like you probably should have, I mean, you already know, you probably should have cut your losses, but at this point, could it run up again? I mean, it has the potential. I just don't see, unless there's another catalyst, you know, where it's going to go from there. So let me hop out of here real quick and go. Yeah, John doesn't sound too too keen on that, and I don't really see it either, unless maybe there's a another catalyst, but that's going to be tricky for that to run up there. RKDA, I feel like I've played this one before too, but holy cow. Well, there is potential there, isn't there? And that's probably what you saw, isn't it, on this? I mean, big drop, downtrend, and then it just consolidated, and it's been consolidating. I mean, the low, you know, 265, but really this was going on for months here. Let's go ahead and take a look a little bit closer time frame here. When did you hop in this RKDA? You what's your I can't, Dennis, what's your question? CMEG is actually used, but I think there's a couple guys in the Discord that do use it. You can oh, okay. Yeah, let's look at this then for a second. Give me a minute here. Let's see where this has been. So it's definitely, I mean, when back where we're at here, you had a high of 928 just, and then it's been in a downtrend. You know, without putting on a bunch of indicators and graphing, and I mean, it's, I mean, I can already tell you on a technical level, yeah, there is definitely potential there to maybe up to the 820, 840 line. Sorry, I'm looking at this RKDA on my other. I'm looking at the actual company. I'm a fundy guy, you guys. I'm looking at fundamentals. I want to know what this company is, who's running it, what they're doing. Are they shady or not? Are we in a bull or bear market? That'd be the triple billion question, my friend. I'd say that's a matter of perspective. That's a mindset. I mean, we definitely dropped down enough to be classified as a bear market there for a minute, but we rallied right back up when we reversed from Christmas Eve. So, I mean, now, are we going to see a recession, a correction, if you will? I mean, a lot of the big guys are saying, 2020 we could be in a recession. Bear market, I mean, Trump keeps pumping the market, and we get a trade deal, we could see another big upside rally, but that also could be worn out by now. I think people have heard the same thing over and over. It's hard to say. I'm definitely short biased, but that's because I'm a hater. I just don't ever want to get caught long because, as we were just talking about a minute ago, when things drop, they drop fast. They creep back up, but they drop fast. So I'm always ready to short. I'm always ready to go, to start buying puts or sell calls. So, but as it's been, I mean, up until this last week, I mean, we just had a red week, and that's the first one of 2019. I mean, and it's been a while since it's been like that, a few months. That's a really good question, and that's something that we'll be talking about on a weekly basis here on Sunday nights. So, I will I'll get back to you on that. Jim, are you asking if I shorted BPTH? I did not. John, I don't know if I actually don't know any of our guys did. Yeah, no, John didn't either. Huh. No, by the time I saw it, and I mean, I'd watched it over a couple of days. That thing was blowing my mind. And like I said, I looked at the daily and I saw where that thing could rip up there. I mean, I honestly, I'm not kidding you guys. I could have seen that thing running up to over $100. I've seen it before, just a couple years ago. I think it was not last year. I think it was 2016. No, 2017. 2017. There was two stocks in November that went from like $4 to $112 in like 3 days, and I'm not even making it up. I'll actually have to try to find those maybe for next time because it's absolutely insane. That just hasn't happened in a long time. This BPTH trade was one I haven't seen in a while, you guys. Nothing that ripped like this. This was incredible. 140 to short BP. Oh, really? Oh, geez, huh? Win, man. I haven't. Yeah, let's take a look at that. I'm sorry, I'm still reading about RKDA. I will definitely have that more in the Discord, you guys. So we will definitely, if you want a little bit more detail on this, where we can all talk freely, definitely hop in our Discord and bring these up, and we'll talk to you about this. Yeah, Win. I've actually played this stock a few times, you guys. This is a good one. Are you looking short side or long side on this? I guess is my question, because I can give you a couple different answers here. I want to look at the daily real quick on this. I haven't seen. Yeah, look at that, man. I think there was a split though, I believe, in this one. Yeah, it was, Bart. Yes, you're right, man. Good job. You nailed it, man. You are on your game, dude. You better be in our Discord, buddy. I think you're right, Juan. I think it is. I think there is a deal. I'm not sure. I don't think it's happened yet. Let me look on the other. Hold on a second. I'm gonna look and see if it has been bought. I think there was a deal pending, right? Isn't that what I heard? Are you nice, man? Cool. I don't know how active you are in our Discord, but you've got a lot of. I mean, from even before too, man. I hope you're more active. You've got a lot of good information. You're definitely one of the kind of guys that we want to help with some of the newbies. That you've got a lot of good insight, man. IMTE, I don't know that one. Yeah, Predator. I'm gonna go back over ALQA and let me make sure I don't forget. I don't know what those last two are, but I will definitely talk about them here in just a second. Yeah, John, you're right. John's right, you guys. Man, this win thing, this is crazy. I'm reading on the other computer. This is insane. I don't even understand what they're talking about, but this is definitely something I would definitely keep an eye on. Hey, man, whatever works, Bart. John, are you driving? You be careful. Yeah, what was it? Oh, 116? Yeah. I always hate when they go back like that. Oh, that's why I remember ALQA. That's right. Yeah. I definitely remember this now. Okay, hold on. Start him young, John. Start him young. Get him on there. I didn't even know until the other day. I found out you can have a Guardian account for your kids. You can actually that's absolutely incredible. Like that's the way to start it. So nobody make fun of me, but I actually bought both my kids Bitcoin back in 2015, and yes, I cashed them out last year. But my son still to this day, every time I'm trading, he thinks I'm talking about Bitcoin. So whenever they ask him in school, like, "What's your dad doing?" He's like, "Oh, he sells Bitcoin." And it's awesome. Helps if you type the ticker, Nicholas. There you go. Yeah, I remember this. Okay, so just, yeah, because it wasn't even that long ago. What was that, like November? Yeah, end of November. So ALQA, Predator, I believe you asked. Definitely a past runner, which to me is always, that's right up there. Is it a catalyst? Is it a playbook setup? Type thing. I mean, maybe it's not setting up playbook, but it definitely has the potential to run. And as we see here on the daily, it has made a run up to 524 before. Obviously, it dumped right after that, but then it consolidated. It had a little pump, consolidated. Now it has pumped from this, 260 to 360. Man, this is tricky. I would definitely say, why is this pumping right now? That's what I'd be asking. Why is this? What is going on? Because see right here, I see this moving up, and then consolidating, and then moving up, consolidating. If I was a betting man, and I am, I definitely see a trend here, but is it going to go into a third day? I don't know. This is, second day, sorry. It definitely looks like it definitely could make another pump up, but I wouldn't be surprised if this bad boy was to make a little rip. I have a feeling it would follow that same trend. It'd probably rip up and then come back down pretty quick. I don't see it. I don't see this keep running and running unless a super strong catalyst, the cure for cancer, the holy grail was found. What was the other one you were asking for? Oh, GLBS. That's right. Yeah, this is a shipping. I like shipping stocks because when they get a catalyst and they want to run, I don't think a lot of people realize that shipping still runs the world. Trains and planes are great, but the amount of weight you can put on a boat, especially in China and Taiwan and Japan, the Philippines, these things that we use, especially right now with the this trade deal pending, but it's looking a little more positive. That's why kind of in the last couple of weeks, if you haven't noticed, we've seen a few of these days where shipping was really up, 3, 4, 5% as a whole in the sector. That's why you're seeing these little pumps right here. And I believe there was one right before. Let's back up a little bit here. Maybe not on GLBS. I swear it was this one. Man, it couldn't have been that soon that I remember that, right? Oh, I guess it was. I know there's another one that, yeah, this would have been last. No, this was it. This was in November. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, so again, one of the big things I like to look at is, was it a past runner? What did it do? And you see it had this nice little trend up, and then it ripped, then dumped, and ripped back up, then it dumped, then it consolidated for a really long time as to where we're at now. So what I'd be looking for here is definitely keep this on watch. I mean, this is one of those plays, man. If this thing gets any kind of catalyst this week, and it stays around in this, 720 to 640 range, it consolidate and stay in there. If this thing gets a catalyst, or we get a trade deal positive gleamer of hope, this thing could rip. I could see this going back up to that 1140, 1120 range again, like we saw before. This thing also, because it's already up a bit, if nothing happens and the shorts decide to hop on, I mean, this thing could, you could play the short down to the 460s, the 440s, 420s. I mean, this thing, it's got a lot of room on both sides. I know that's a pretty crappy answer, but I mean, if there's a strong catalyst or a push on the trade deal, I could see this thing ripping up to 11. Otherwise, I would definitely watch this to probably dip down a little on the short side. Even $1, I could see this going down, from the $7 to $6. This would be a good one to keep on watch for sure, for sure. Oh, TOPS, DRYS, yes. Those are good ones too. I'll look at those. I want to look at this one I didn't see. Predator had this PULM. I don't know if I know. I don't think I know this one. Anybody else play this along with Predator? I don't even know if you played it. He just wants to look at it. It's PULM. Oh, is this why you want to look? It ripped up. Yeah, I mean, there was long consolidation, and then it was on an uptrend. But honestly, if I was to really play this, I'd be looking to play this on the short side. Honestly, it's gone up a lot. It started to downtrending at the end of the day there, and it's kind of been consolidating after hours. I'd like to see where this goes in the morning if there's volume on it. I have a feeling though that this one it's got more resistance than support, so this definitely could be dropping down. But remember, resistance becomes support, support becomes resistance. But I definitely would be looking to play this probably to the downside, to be honest. There's John's list. That's what I like to see. Boom. That's all from Friday. Yeah, nice. Yeah, John brings up a good point, you guys. There were so many good shorts on, or good shorts, good plays on Friday. I mean, this last week for small caps was absolutely incredible. And I know there was a couple that really stuck out, but not just those. There were a lot that really, really were pushing through. I mean, making big moves every day. I mean, in our Discord room, these guys were just, I mean, they were having a heyday. They had so much they didn't know where to pick. We were having to tell people to slow down and, just slow down and pick one or two, AVCO, yeah, I'll look at that one. We'll look at a couple more, you guys, and then I'll wrap up a little bit. And then, you guys, like I said, this carries on. We're 24/7, so hop into our Discord and we'll keep, this is all we do. We live and breathe and bleed for this stuff. So hop in our Discord after this and definitely keep up the talk. Oh, this thing's all over the place, isn't it? Holy cow! What have you made me do? Well, in the short term, I see definitely the downtrend, and then it started downtrend, and it started to try to creep back up. But I mean, again, this is what we were talking about before. This has ripped before. That's a good sign to me. I mean, you see, it was consolidating here for a really long time, and then it just ripped up here at 1350. I mean, that's huge. But then it just dumped, pump and dump. But then it ripped up again, and then downtrend, little bit of a downtrend. So is it due? Sure. Catalyst, absolutely. This thing could rip. I mean, this thing could rip all the way back up to these highs at 350. I'd be more inclined to say if it's gonna move back up, I'd be looking maybe up to the $5 range. A short on this. I mean, it definitely was consolidating for so long in this 280, 250 range, but This is an interesting stock. I'm definitely going to look at this one too a little bit for a small cap play. I like that. I'm going to be playing a little bit more small caps this week, guys, just to help a little bit more with getting people lined up in the Discord. So we'll be talking a lot more about this, but obviously you guys will see if you're in the Discord. I'm definitely I'm an options guy, and there's reasons why, and we'll get more into that. But definitely the small caps, there's a lot of money to be made here. And this last week, as John has pointed out several times, there was a lot of money to be made in small caps this last week. I mean, and the thing is, what you guys ought to remember too is when you see these things just ripping up, if they don't just come dumping back down, keep an eye on them to the short side, because if they're up that high, if they don't have a really good reason to stay up there and consolidate in those areas, they're coming back down. And that's something I'm definitely looking at for Monday, Tuesday, is to see some of these big runners that ran up this last week. I'm watching those to the short side to see where they'll start wanting to dump back down. Yeah, I'll take a couple more here, and then we'll have to hop off. But definitely get in our Discord, you guys, and we'll keep talking. What's your question about CMEG? Yeah, good point, John. That's exactly what I'm saying. Wow, this is interesting. Man, I'm sorry. I'm reading on the other side. As I pull these up, you guys, I have three monitors. I've got two other, and I'm trying to read the news and all that to catch up on the last couple of weeks of these, because I haven't looked at some of these obviously. So I'm just trying to catch up. So I have something of value to tell you. Man, this thing has just been. This is interesting. This is definitely interesting. It seems like it likes to, play up there. So, I mean, yeah, this thing has came way, way down. I would almost say, with not being familiar with it, it's hard for me to say. But I definitely think that there's some room to the upside here, at least trying to get back up into this $3, 320, 340 range. But this is something I'd be really careful about watching. There's not a lot of volume on it. I mean, some of these days are just, there was a million volume day here. I mean, it's not bad. It's not terrible. I'm not going to lie. I mean, there's a little bit of volume, but a lot of these, especially when it's consolidated, I mean, it's there's not a lot of volume to get it to go really either way. I would definitely look for some volume on this, and when it does, I would say there would be a nice little push up. But this is definitely one that's going to push up and probably dump right back down and consolidate. I'm going to be honest with you. But there's nothing wrong with that. That's great. That's how we want to play them. We want to play them up, play them down. That's what a lot of people I think get confused, is that they first get in and they think, oh, you buy on the dip and you sell on the rip. You buy low, sell high. But I'm literally the opposite at this point in the game. I don't believe that, and I think that's where a lot of people get stuck, is they keep buying low and selling high. You can only play one play. You can only play one type of stock. Don't you feel like you're limiting yourself there? And I know it's just because you haven't really seen or been told that. But what I'm explaining is that's why we're here. That's why you're on here right now. That's why you need to come over to our Discord page. That's why you need to come and join onto our site once we have everything up and running. But for now, get on the Discord page. It's going to be a few days. We're actually we're releasing everything. The next 2 weeks for PDT is going to be insane. We're going to teach people that there's not just one way to do it. There's not one strategy. There's not only one kind of stock to play. There are literally thousands of stocks, and I would say literally 2 dozen to 3 dozen different ways of playing them, and that's just literally a basic way of playing them. Inside of each one of those is another dozen ways, so we want to help you guys learn to play more than one way, more than one type of stock. There's nothing wrong with playing a sub penny to a large cap back down to a penny. I mean, seriously, anybody that tells you different and tells you that, oh, there's no money, or that's not true, or that's, you got to grow up, and then that's noise. That's noise you need to filter out. There's nothing wrong with making money wherever the money is, and that's what I believe. If there's money, take it. Yeah, Dennis is right. You guys, trade zero. I hate to be, on trade zero is just, I mean, you got to be careful with any offshore broker anyway. CMEG does a really good job. I think because of where they're at, I believe Trinidad, I feel like they're a little bit more on the level. Sure Trader, yeah, their customer service is horrible. Their prices are ridiculous. But if you need to get past the PDT rule, I understand. You got to do what you got to do. But at the same time, sometimes those rules are there for a reason. I do, as an American, absolutely despise it. I'm not going to lie. But at the same time, I think when you're new, it's kind of a good thing. It kind of keeps you in check from blowing up your account right away. Trade Zero's not offshore? I thought it was. I'm sorry, John. Oh, Trade Net. That's what I was thinking of. I'm sorry. Oh my gosh, that was horrible. We need to edit this. Yeah, I was thinking of Trade Net. And you guys, I'm sorry. Like, I know there's a lot of people that use them. I am not a fan for many reasons. I'm not going to get into it, but like, there's just a lot of problems I have. Number one, my biggest problem is that you're trading CFDs essentially, and you're not trading true underlying stocks. And they control everything. And they were good about a year ago. I truly believe that they were fine a year ago. But then essentially what happened is I feel like people started making money, and too much money, to where they, as a brokerage, I mean, when people are making money, you're losing money, and that's essentially what happened. Yeah, we were both okay. Yeah, I'm so not okay with what I said. Trade Zero is absolutely on the up and up. Yeah, it was Trade Net. I thought John knew at least. At least he caught us. That was horrible. Yeah, me too, man. Yeah, Juan Lopez, man, that is a brilliant statement, buddy. Yeah, Forrest, come in our Discord and hit up John more about the Trade Zero accounts. They are really, really good. What I'm seeing, he is absolutely a fan. He's showing us stuff every day about it, and I'm really, really impressed. Especially with the amount of short stocks available. That seems to be something they've done really well with in comparison to some of the newer ones. They seem to have a pretty good list every day. That's another thing we're trying to do. I'm hoping by tomorrow we'll be able to start doing this in the Discord. Is we're going to start putting up lists of available of stocks that are available to short through certain brokers, and I believe it'll usually be Trade Zero. That's what we use. So I'm going to take a look at the market here before we get going. I want to see where we're at, what's happening. Yeah, and you guys, I really feel like this is going to be a crazy week. I mean, I say that every week, but this is one that we're definitely going to want to, really be watching where stuff's going to be moving. Small caps watching for the catalyst coming out, watching for what is coming off last week to short. It's a new day, new week, new beginning. I really believe that. Set up the journals. Get that going, I would say, tonight. Start studying. Hop in our Discord. Start a conversation. Ask whatever you feel like asking. Someone will answer it, I promise. Let's get it, guys. Let's do this. I will see you guys in the morning, bright and early. Let's make some money, guys. Thank you so much for coming on. We seriously appreciate it. Go ahead and hit that like button if you wouldn't mind. It really does help us out. And hop in the Discord and become part of the community. We absolutely are here to help, and we want to help you. So do not hesitate and do not feel stupid to ask any question. Anybody puts you down, believe me, we will boot them and censor them so fast it's not even funny. Peace and love, and thank you guys so much for doing this. I'll see you in the morning. Have a great, great night, guys.